Hey guys, welcome back to Between Mile Marker. Have you seen those videos on YouTube where people are modifying their AC units to get them to be more efficient? Yeah, we did too. So we thought we'd set out to do our own video on this subject to see if it was really true. And well, I guess you'll see that things didn't quite go as planned. And you'll also see what we had to do to pivot and if it all worked out in the end. So let's get into it. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to get a baseline. Now, the baseline is going to be the dBs on this app of what we are, just kind of sitting here in the rig with really just ambient sound. Right now we're at about 55 dB on the app, just as an ambient. So let's go ahead and turn the AC on and see what we get before we do anything at all. Okay, so we just turned the air conditioner on now. If you remember, we were at 55 dB before, and I'm just gonna hold this up to the air conditioner here. And it looks like we're fluctuating between 85 and 92 dB. First things first, we've got to get this cover off and kind of just take everything apart. Now to do this, we've got a screw underneath here, and we've got a screw underneath this here. We'll have to get that off and take that screw out. We'll take this cover off here and take this filter out. And once we get this all off, we'll take these four out and we'll go from there. Okay, now that we've got the cover off, as you can see here, we've got two sides. This side that you're looking at is the return side, and this side over here is the blower side. So what we need to do next is we need to take this metal plate off, because right up in here there is a divider between the two, and we're going to need to take that out of there so we can get our foam board in there. Now you can also see in here that right up along the wiring here, there's a big gaping hole in the metal tape, which would explain why we get dripping coming out of the AC unit, because that cold air mixes with the warm air and I'm sure it condenses and drips out the corner. So we're going to need to take all this metal tape out of here, retape everything up, and we'll go on to the next step from there. Okay, so now before we do anything else, now that we've got power exposed, we want to shut off the power to the rig completely, because we don't want to get in there and mess with things and blow fuses or electrocute ourselves or anything like that. So safety first. So here's the problem that we ran into that we did not see on the YouTube videos. As you can see here, our ducting is right up tight against the ceiling. And in all of the videos that we've seen on YouTube, the plan calls for putting a 1-inch piece of foam board on the bottom of that. And if we were to do that, that would pretty much cover most of that duct, which is counteractive to what we really want to do here. So where do we go from here? Okay, so we've come up with a solution. And what we're going to do is we're still going to do the hack, but we're going to do it in a modified section here. What we're going to do is we're still going to put our TP here at the top to direct the air directly into the airflow. But at the same time, what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the stock equipment, because that metal plate in the middle kind of funnels the air already to the ducts. So we're gonna go ahead and just work with it versus tear it out and try to redo it. Before we get started taping everything back up, we want to take those measurements for that new TP, and we did that, and we came up with the measurement of it going to be 9.5 by 4.5, and then this side is going to be 8.5 by 6.5. Now that we got our measurements, let's go ahead and measure out our cuts. We are going to be 9 1/8 by 4.5. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to cut 45-degree angles on both of these pieces. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've marked the 45-degree angles on both sides and drawn a line across so that when I cut, I make sure that I stay pretty level. Now it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be covering these up with foil tape. So you do want to try to get as close as possible, but again, perfection's not necessary. So let's go ahead and do that. Do you mind dry fitting those up there for me? Looks like it might need a little more adjustments there. And that one looks pretty good. So the other one is probably going to need some adjustments. So the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to fit those around the metal brackets as well. So you can see here that the angles that we had to cut these at, not quite 45 degrees. This one, because it's a shorter, doesn't have quite as steep of angle, but still not a 45. Okay, so now we've got our foam boards pretty much cut, pretty close to fit. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put our metal plate back in, because what we need to do is we need to fit these into place, but we can't do that until this is here. So these might need some minor adjustments yet, but like I said, we're going to fit it into place and see where we need to go from here. Now that we've got the two baffle pieces cut and kind of fit in here, what we have to do is we have to then take this back down, the framing, and we'll go ahead and we'll tape those guys into place. Okay, Lori did a bang up job foil taping everything up here, and we've got our baffle pieces taped into place. The only thing we've got left is this little area right here, but we're going to do that last because we want to put the metal divider back in and screw it all back into place. Now the one thing we did forget to do, and this is on me, is I forgot to notch a little hole out for that screw, so we'll have to do a little exploratory surgery there to get that done, but we'll get her done. Okay folks, here we go. Here's the finished product. We have everything taped off, and we were able to use the factory flange that they have in here and actually make it work. We got our ducting baffles up in here, and everything is taped up and ready to go. The last thing that we wanted to do was cut a piece of insulation to cover the airflow dump on the air conditioner vent. And the reason for that is because we don't really use it. And what we did is we just taped it kind of into place and cut it at a 45-degree angle to help direct air more into those ducts. And the beauty of this is if we ever wanted to remove it, we just have to take this cover off and remove the tape, and we're good to go to use it again. Okay, we have a nice clean new filter here, and we'll go ahead and put this grate back in. Okay, Everything's back together. The power is back on. So let's flip the AC on and see how we did. Okay, AC is running. Already we can tell it is a lot quieter. All right, well, there you go, guys. Now, as you can see, this modification didn't go exactly as we planned to, but that just goes to show you that not all the construction and all the rigs are created equal. So if you're gonna do this modification, make sure you check out your own construction. So if you have to pivot like we did, you know exactly what to do.
It definitely seems to be worth it though. The airflow in our back room, we only have the one AC unit, so the airflow is definitely a lot better and it's cooler back in the bedroom, as well as it's so much quieter. It doesn't feel like we have to shout or turn the TV volume up to 25 or whatever, so it definitely is worth it.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time between mile markers.